Okay. All right. So just testing my microphone. All right. Testing mic 1 2 1 2. I believe that everybody can hear me. All right. So it's exactly 8 p.m. and we are actually live now. So we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, right? So we are actually live on all of these platforms. And today we are doing something different. All right. So this is the safety podcast. Officially, we just began our safety podcast and we are calling it the Vendor Safety Podcast. Okay. All right. So basically, it is the fact that we are talking about health and safety from the vendor's perspective. However, this is actually a podcast, and there is actually a reason to that. So I'll be sharing that in due time as we go along with this presentation. Today is actually a very special session. We're going to look at the state of the health and safety job market and how to navigate. I think that this is something that is very important for all of us because all of us actually are in the job market. And it is very important that we really understand what the job market really entails. What are the current status? What is the current status of the market? What are the opportunities and threats? What are the challenges? How do we position ourselves for better opportunities, right? And basically, it's all about the fact that we want to make the best out of our health and safety career. So we've started having this conversation about the health and safety value chain and how you can actually take advantage of the value chain to improve your safety career, to make sure that you are making money as a safety professional. So in my last video, we started talking about the health and safety value chain, and we did look at the three important markets where value creation actually thrives. All right. So the value creation actually thrives in three markets. We have the job market, the knowledge market, and the goods market. I think that this is an important, aspect of the industry that we need to be aware of, and that is me sharing my perspective. And I believe that everybody could agree with it. That yes, there is the job market, there's the knowledge market, there's the goods market, right? And from my experience as a safety professional in the past 12 years, right? 12 years, I've come to really understand the importance of paying attention to each of these markets, each one of them, because we can actually thrive in all of these markets. And that is how we can make the best out of our health and safety career. Okay. So just a recap of what we talked about. Okay, so let me just reduce the volume, right? I think I forgot that. All right, so basically recapping what we've been discussing, within the week. We talked about the health and safety value chain. We did mention that there's a job market, there's a knowledge market, and there's a goods market, right? And all of these markets are actually interrelated. And to achieve true personal growth, we need to make sure that we are paying attention to all of these markets, because the market actually is able to, it's actually interrelated and there's synergy. Once we focus on all of these markets, we're able to achieve synergy, because how are they interrelated? So basically, safety professionals want to create value to their employers, and for that reason, they're looking to get into the job market, right? But before you can get into the job market, you need to upskill yourself. You need to go through education and training, and you would have to, seek someone who can train you, right? And the person who is training you is actually in the knowledge market. So that person is positioned to give you the training that you need, and that's going to upskill you, get you ready for the job market, and then be able to get a safety job, right? So that is how the job market is related to the knowledge market. And then once we get a knowledge and we get a job and we are trying to create value for our employers, what we do is that we tap into the goods market. We find out what are the suitable safety equipment, what are the latest products that we can use to, improve safety at the workplace. And for that reason, we tap into the goods market, right? So the job market, the goods market, the knowledge market, they are all interrelated. And interestingly, for everyone or almost everybody's career trajectory, we all start from the job market. but it doesn't mean that we need to really stop right there. We need to keep exploring and keep going higher. And that is how we're able to see, a lot of, guys who are actually, positioning themselves for the knowledge market, and they are creating a lot of value. So the knowledge market is actually how we challenge ourselves further to become entrepreneurs, where we become tuition providers, we become health and safety consultants, and then we support and make more impact, right? To make much more impact, that means that you are sharing knowledge, you are training people, you are, supporting people to develop their safety careers and things like that. So that's, that niche itself is a knowledge market. And there's a saying that the more you learn, the more you earn, right? So that actually brings me to this important quote that I saw in our health and safety professional group today. So we are going to look at the quote of the day, right? So the quote of the day is about the fact that the better you become, the more you attract. Okay, so this is something I actually resonate with, and I, took a deep dive to really understand, this very quote. And I just want to share, the importance of, understanding this quote. The better you become, the more you attract. So everything that we do, sometimes you could be in the comfort zone, you could be in our comfort zone, and in order for us to really become better, it means that we need to move out of our comfort zone. I think there's something that happens to everyone. And for that reason, once we challenge ourselves and we, put in the work, we become better. And, you can only become better through consistency, through doing the thing over and over again, right? So that means that we need to practice. So practice makes perfect. And then consistency is how we keep, getting better. So that is actually something that we can ponder on as professionals in our daily endeavors. As you are trying to build your career, we need to recognize the fact that it is when we invest in ourselves, when we put ourselves out there, when we challenge ourselves, when we face our fears and keep doing whatever, thing that you've set your mind on, and be consistent on it. That's how we become better, and we can attract. So we can attract, more. We can attract, employers. We can attract clients. We can attract business partners. We can attract a lot of people. All right. We can attract people who like us and would probably want to refer us and all of that. So that is the quote of the day. And kind courtesy, Mr. Bismarck, Thomas Bismarck Boache actually posted that in the group. So thanks to him so much for sharing that. All right, so that is the quote of the day. Okay, so today's episode, we're going to look at this interesting presentation I put together. It's about the state of the health and safety job market. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of insights into it. And I'll probably be referring to my experience as well, because at the end of the day, it is basically the fact that we need to share experience. So the essence of this podcast is for us to share our experiences, to give back to the community, to, reach a wider audience, to do things differently, right? So this is a forum where we will be sharing a lot of insights, all right? So basically, we are sharing insights across HSE market, HSE across market. We want to learn how to take advantage of opportunities. We want to learn how to make money as safety professionals. We want to empower ourselves with the right information that we need to make informed career and business decisions. We want to engage with, professionals across various niches to share their experiences and empower the younger generation, so that we all learn how to indeed navigate through the job market, navigate through the knowledge market, the goods market, share experiences, from whichever niche that we find ourselves, right? Because definitely someone has something that, someone is probably good at something that you're not good at. So sharing and learning together is how we actually grow. And it's all about collaboration, right? Okay, so a brief background of myself. My name is Sel. I'm a health and safety practitioner, and I am an entrepreneur. So as an entrepreneur, I'm very much particular about the job market, the goods market, the knowledge market. Where are the opportunities? How can we take advantage? Okay. So basically, we're going to look at the state of the job market. So this is going to be my presentation, right? So I just share my screen right now. That is the state of the job market today, and how do we navigate? Okay, so that's basically the topic for today. And we're going to look at what is health and safety job all about. So someone actually called me a couple of days ago, and the person was asking me, what is HSE all about? What is HSE? Because he doesn't really understand what is health, safety, and environment, or what is health and safety. Okay, so we're going to be looking into what health and safety is all about. As a job, health and safety job, what is it all about? Okay, we're going to also understand how does one become a health and safety professional. All right, so basically everybody wants to become a safety professional. Some people are not aware. Health and safety is still new in Ghana. It's probably an infant niche, as we've been highlighting many times. Health and safety is still an infant niche, and for that reason, people actually don't know much about it. And wherever there is gap means that there are opportunities. So we need to have the conversation and start planning and position ourselves for, taking advantage of some of these gaps, right? And that will mean that we need to build a capacity, right? So how does one become a health and safety professional? In fact, a lot of people who have been able to start their businesses were once safety professionals. So become a safety professional to get some more insights. You're able to get valid insights into the market, then you can take informed business decision. So there are instances where people also become, entrepreneurs without even understanding that, okay, that was actually a safety niche, but there's always a reason to somebody's inspiration to getting into business, right? Again, we're going to look at how does one get to work globally as a health and safety professional. So for safety professionals who are probably, making waves and going global and all of that, they clearly understand this important part of the profession, that the profession is indeed a global profession, right? And then again, we're going to look at what is the salary of a safety professional. So in public, because when I was growing my career, or I was starting up as a safety professional, I didn't really know what the salary was. Everything was just based on hearsay. There wasn't any, valid, reliable information to really attest or, confirm that that's actually the salary. So most of the salaries that we are privy to is based on our own experience, how we were able to navigate the career ladder to keep, moving up to the point where we now know that, okay, so the salary is always like this, but okay, it's not all that rosy, right? We all know. So we're going to talk about salaries of safety profession and a whole lot of other stuff, right? So let me just come back once again, and we are going to begin this, presentation. Okay. So basically, the big question is, what is health and safety all about? What is health and safety job all about? All right. So for those who are joining us for the first time, it is important to realize that health and safety is not just a job. It is a niche. It is an industry. It is a whole value chain. All right. So health and safety is not just a job, but of course, I have it there as what is the job all about. But the job goes beyond just working for an employer. The job actually goes beyond that. The fact that you are delivering knowledge, sharing information, that is a job in itself. But sometimes people tend to, limit themselves to the job that they have to work for an employer. So that is actually a job anyway. But for some reason, people tend to think that that is the only job opportunity. That's the only opportunity in the health and safety value chain. So let us just try to look at what health and safety job is all about. So basically, health and safety job is about the fact that we are protecting lives and properties. We are protecting the environment, right? And then we want to make sure that we are supporting the employer to meet all legal requirements. We want to make sure that we are supporting, we are challenging the employer to equally, implement safe system of work, ensure that workers are safe. We want to equally provide support to workers to ensure that they understand the hazards and risks in the job that they're doing, and they're able to go back home safely. All right. And because we understand the value of life, the value of people as an asset to an organization, we understand the value of asset itself to business continuity. So we understand the importance of, protecting all of these things, protecting the life, protecting, people as an asset, protecting, the environment, right? Protecting life, protecting the asset, protecting the environment. So these are very, very important for business continuity. And our role as safety professionals is to make sure that we are satisfying all these stakeholders. So there are a lot of stakeholders that we deal with, right? So we deal with regulator, we deal with employer, we deal with employees, we deal with vendors. So basically, these are the three stakeholders or four stakeholders that I can think of. Perhaps there are a lot more, right? So we are dealing with the employer, we are dealing with the employees, we are dealing with the regulator, we are dealing with the the suppliers, the vendors. So we want to make sure that all of these stakeholders, we're able to meet their needs. All right. So the employer, we are talking about top management. So able to meet the needs of the top management, you're able to meet the needs of employees, you're able to meet the needs of suppliers, you want to meet the needs of regulators as well, because we understand the impact of all of these stakeholders. That's why, in our management system, we always talk about the fact that we need to identify the internal and the external parties that are affected by our operation. So as safety professionals, our job is very, very important. And there's nothing more, more fulfilling than making sure that workers go back home safely, because we know that the impact of a workplace accident is really, really, costly, very, very costly. And we don't want anything to happen to our workers, because we know that if you're not able to work for the rest of your life because you are rendered incapacitated, then a lot of things are at stake. People who depend on you are affected. You are not able to work for the rest of your life, and the cost is unimaginable, right? So we know that we need to create value, and we are supporting our employees, we are supporting employers, we are supporting all the stakeholders. So now I'll just move on to the next question. Okay, so over here, we understand that the job of a safety professional is not only to the employer, right? We need to understand that the health and safety job is about imparting knowledge, and you can get a job equally in the knowledge industry, not only in the job market, but in the knowledge industry, you can equally get a job. And then the goods market as well, there's a lot of gaps in there. Once we're able to fill in the gaps, we have a job connecting vendors and buyers, going to the market, helping people to move products here and there from the one location to the other. In fact, understanding really what goes on in the goods market, right? So the job just goes beyond working for an employer, right? Again, so how does one become a health and safety professional? That is something that people do ask us, especially those who are quite new or those who are looking to get into the profession. This is actually a noble profession. So before you can even get in there, you need to make sure that you're taking the relevant health and safety courses, right? Now, interestingly, the way health and safety has been designed as a profession in Ghana, most of us, have to complete university before we discover health and safety. Some of us had to complete university. For instance, I did economics as my Bachelor of Arts, degree. I was pursuing ACCA. I was on my way to become an accountant. And then when I did my national service, I was put in a department where I was responsible for compliance. And then I was asked to go for a conference, and I then got to know, okay, so this is actually safety. So I'll just give a backstory to that very soon, okay? So how does one become a safety professional? I'll just use myself as a case study, right? So it is important that we share our experiences with everyone about how some of us became health and safety professionals, okay? So just so that we can learn from everybody's journey. And this is actually a podcast, so hopefully as we get comfortable with this, very forum, a lot more people will be coming on board so that we can actually have a more, engaging conversation talking about health and safety. So I'm trying to really do something different, something unique, so that all of us can actually come on board. The podcast is not something really scary. We are just trying to do things differently, right? So I hope that all of you would actually engage with this and know that we are trying to support, okay? I believe that, we can engage. So guys, come along, let's do this. Okay, so I'll just start off talking about how I became a health and safety professional. Okay, so a lot of people have amazing stories to share. All right, so I became a health and safety professional through this method, right? So basically, 12 years ago, because I have 12 years of working experience, 12 years ago, prior to starting my safety career, I was already, pursuing accountancy. I wrote the exams F1 to F6. And I was so obsessed with accountancy because from my senior high school, I went to Presec. I was doing business. Okay. So definitely all business students want to do business administration at University of Ghana, because we are seeing University of Ghana just across the road. We are all obsessed with it. But unfortunately, I went to University of Ghana to do economics. So I still was holding on to that dream, pursuing accountancy and all of that. But then as it is for many of us, after school, wherever we are posted can actually define your career trajectory, right? Your career path can totally change just because of where you've been posted. So I was posted to a company, an oil marketing company, and then I was put in a department, the compliance department. I didn't even know what safety was and all of that. And then as per my job description, I was responsible for, following up on standards at the fuel station, checking up to make sure that the lighting is working, there's no leakages on the fuel pumps, the underground storage tanks are not leaking, the signages at the fuel stations are actually functioning, the in and out, the exit and entry signages are all in there. We arranged for training on, first aid, firefighting, all of this stuff. But I didn't know it was health and safety. In fact, the company I was working for does not even know that it's health and safety. So there wasn't any safety department. There's no management system about safety management system, nothing like that. There's no safety policy or anything. But then the downstream oil marketing, the downstream sector of the oil industry, actually, how risky it is. There's a lot of risk, there's a lot of accidents here and there. So there was a lot of explosions happening, and I was asked to go for a conference. The conference was organized by the Association of Oil Marketing Companies. And when I went there, I noticed that, okay, that's fire safety. I didn't even know. I just, they just said, go for this conference. We've been invited, at this place by Association of Oil Marketing Companies. And when I went there, I noticed that the facilitator was talking about safety. He was actually teaching fire safety. He was so passionate about the topic because I think that he works in the mines. So people, those who are working in the mines, a lot of them are, senior safety colleagues and all of that. So he was very passionate, and he was talking about how the OMCs need to improve the safety standard, and was actually advocating for people to become safety professionals because safety is very important and all of that. So one thing that the facilitator said that got me struck or got stuck with me was the fact that he said, if you become a safety professional, no employer can pay you. I was like, what? What are you saying? If I become a safety professional, no employer can pay you. Is that what you just said? After the presentation, I went to see him, and I asked him, so how do I become a safety professional? Because you just said that if I become a safety professional, no employer can pay me. So what's the situation? He said, I need to do NEBOSH. I was like, okay, NEBOSH, okay. If you do NEBOSH, no company in Ghana can pay you. And I was really, really obsessed with it. So quickly, I'd had to do my research. By then, I was doing I was trying to do a master's program. And my master's program was actually master's in oil and gas, thinking I'm trying to build a career in the oil and gas. Just when I got into the master's program, then I realized that, okay, my boss was even telling me, why are you doing, masters in oil and gas? The oil and gas industry doesn't need people who have masters. Masters in oil and gas is just too generic. It's just theoretical, whatever. The oil and gas, you need people who are welders and fabricators and engineers and petroleum engineers and all of that. So I was then a bit confused. Actually, it looks like I made a wrong choice just doing a master's in oil and gas. But the interesting thing is that there was one module in the master's program, which was HSE, the oil and gas industry. And the course requirement was that we had to do IOSH managing safely. So by default, I was already heading towards health and safety because I did the IOSH managing safely. I got to understand about risk, safety hazards, risk assessment, hierarchy of controls, and all of these stuff. Okay. So basically, that's how I discovered health and safety. And then when the guy told me that if you do NEBOSH, no employer can pay you, then I had to switch. So quickly, I had to do my research, check profiles on LinkedIn, and then all I could see was NEBOSH. Every profile I checked on LinkedIn, all I could see was NEBOSH, right? So basically, I started pursuing NEBOSH, and I understood the importance of having to move very, very fast, because he also said it depends on your speed. So that's how I managed to switch quickly, and I was pursuing NEBOSH. So in 2011, when I started my career as a compliance officer, I spent 3 years with the company. Okay. So spending 3 years with the company, I used that whole period to be studying IDipNEBOSH up until the time the company even downsized and they retrenched us. By the time I was going home, I already had my IDipNEBOSH qualifications, IDipNEBOSH oil and gas, IOSH managing safely. I had my master's degree. I was ready for the market. Okay. So that's pretty much how I became a health and safety professional, just because I was put in a compliance department and I went for a conference and the presenter talked about the fact that if you have IDipNEBOSH, no employer can pay you and it depends on your speed. Within 3 years, I was done with all of these and I was ready for the market. Okay. So basically, I'll just move on to the next. So if you want to be a health and safety professional, take note that you need to focus on the important qualifications. So sometimes we see people who are, just talking about safety this, safety that, and all of that. Guys, just focus on IDipNEBOSH. IDipNEBOSH is the most sought after qualification in every market. Okay. So we are talking about the job market, but we need to know that the job market is a global market. We have the local market, all right, and we have the global market. The local market is basically the fact that you can pursue local certifications, local requirements. Some countries are well advanced with their health and safety. They can pursue local requirements to get safety jobs. But in Ghana, we don't have, very good local systems. There's no accreditation for local programs as far as safety is concerned, unlike other careers like accountancy, human resource. There are local accreditation bodies, right? Accrediting institutions that certify programs to say that it has been endorsed locally to meet local needs. There's something like that. So we are somehow connected to the global market. Somehow, because whichever jurisdiction that does not have a very good system, national system, they are adapting to, or they are adopting other country systems. That's how come in Ghana, most of the time we are talking about UK stuff. We are looking at all these IDipNEBOSH courses. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Now, how can one get to work globally as a health and safety professional? All right. So that is basically what I just started talking about. We have the global market and we have the local market. Which of the market do you want to work? Which of the market are you pursuing? Do you want to work locally or you want to work globally? If you want to work globally, always focus on the global qualifications. Okay. And we all know the global qualifications, and it depends on whichever country you want to work. All right. So ability to move out of the local market to a global market. Basically, a global market in the sense that any market you can just move. It's easy to move from one market to the other. And the market basically is based on the location or the country. So there's a Ghana job market, there's a Nigerian job market, there's a UAE job market, there's a UK job market, there's a US job market. People tend to focus on the economies that have very good opportunities, right? Potential to pay good salary and all of that. So people tend to focus on maybe the UAE market, the US market, the UK market, probably the European market. It's all depend on whichever market you're looking. So in order to get in order to get to work globally as a health and safety professional, it means that you need to pursue the qualification of the destination country that you're looking to work in, right? Because every country has their requirements. Every country has their national qualification requirement, in the sense that they are controlling the caliber of people who are working in this profession, and they want everyone to meet the standard, the national standard. So to work globally, you need to focus on global qualification of the destination countries. Okay. Now, what is the salary of a health and safety professional? So this is another interesting thing that I would like to share with you. Is very, very important, because nobody ever tells you the salary, right? And sometimes you are just moving blindly, because sometimes when you get to negotiating table, opportunity to negotiate salary, you don't even know how to quote, because you are not privy to it. This is probably your first 2 or 3 opportunities to have to bargain for your salary and all of that. But take note that the more you develop yourself, the more you become valuable to employers. Okay. So that is pretty much what the salary is. And I could share my experience as well, how the whole career has gone as far as salary is concerned, because it's not an easy journey to actually get to a point where you are paid very, very good salary. And we know that a lot of people are actually working and the salary is not good. But it does not mean that you need to give up, because health and safety is a very rewarding career. Actually, how rewarding it is. You get opportunity to travel. You can actually, go for training abroad, depending on the country, the company that you work for. You can work for a foreign multinational, and that gives you opportunity to travel outside. And you go for training, all of that. So the reward for health and safety career is very, very good. Okay. So basically, when I started my career, after my national service, I was retained. My salary was 800. So I was paid 800 cedis as far back as 2011. That's right after my national service. So by 2012, my salary was 800. Now, what happened was that I was there for 3 years, as I earlier mentioned. And every year, my salary increased by 10%, right? So from 800 to 880 the following year, to 960 the following year, to 1050 the following year, for 3 good years. That's how my career was moving as far as salary was concerned. So I noticed one thing. So if you stay at one place, your salary will not move very fast. You're going to stagnate, and employers will probably never increase salary. That's the whole situation right now. So in order for you to increase your salary, then you need to build capacity to be able to move up the career ladder, right? So within that 3 years, when my salary was just, almost stagnant, I was just using that whole period to build capacity. Okay. And when I got, as I did mention, by the 3rd year, the company downsized. So as they downsized, they actually, laid me off, right? And then when I was trying to get back into the job market, I had to start all over again. So the next job that I got, I went back to as if I was doing my national service, or as if I just finished my national service. So I went back to 800 again. So that means that almost like 4 years, we are trying to get on our feet, right? From 800, 880, 960, 10,050 back to 800. All right. And then I move on to work for another company. And then the salary went to 1,008. That was 2016. So with 1,008, then I got promoted, like something, very strategic way of trying to give you extra responsibility. And then salary increases to 2,500. That was in 2016, 2017. But guess what? I was doing a permanent job, right? I was actually on that pathway to just being a permanent employee. So just when I changed that strategy to get onto a project-based job, right? The project-based job, then I saw the difference, right? So from 2,500, when I got a project-based job, a contract from an operator or the main client, right? Then the salary jumped from 2,500 to 13,000. So that's something that is very, very interesting. So ever since I noticed that, wow, so if I'm on a fixed job, then the salary will be going it will be moving at a snail's pace, right? But the moment I switch to project-based job, the salary gallops. That's when I made a decision that there's no way I'm going to work as a permanent employee for any company, because unless the company is a very big company and they have a lot of package and probably I'm a senior safety professional or something, then I could probably stay there and say, okay, I've done a lot. I've been very adventurous enough and I just want to take my time and relax. No issues on that. But as young as I am right now, and someone who is just in his probably late 30s, there's no way I'm going to settle for a permanent job that is just going to manage, I'm going to manage a little and be there for long. No, that's not the case. I'm going to always position myself for project-based job, okay? Because there's so much reward in project-based job. So project-based job from 13,000, the next project-based job that I got, the salary jumped from 13,000 to 18,000. The next project-based job that I got, salary jumped from 18,000 to 20,000. Okay, so that's pretty much sharing my own experience, how the career path has moved by just making the decision to not settle for permanent jobs. And I know that a lot of people are afraid to take such risk, because now you go and take a project-based job. What it means is that the contract can be 6 months, it can be 1 year, and all of that. Many times when we are applying for these type of jobs, they tell us that the contract is probably 6 months. But then you get into the job, you notice that, whoa, it's not even 6 months. I mean, they keep extending it. So sometimes employers want to be very careful not to commit to themselves. So they'll give you a 6-month contract. After 6 months, they will extend. After 6 months, they will extend, like that. Because employers are equally taking risk. They are managing the situation because they are on contract. The contract can be extended or not. So they want to make sure they are managing expectations and not getting into long-term contract with employees. So if you position yourself for project jobs, what it means is that you need to be very strategic with your life. So ever since I switched to project-based job, then the entrepreneurial spirit, just heightened, because I knew that at any point in time, if a contract comes to an end, I need to be able to survive. I need to be able to do things. So that's when now, since 2018, when my contract ended, right? That's when I started entrepreneurship, right? Entrepreneurship, very, very important. So I always encourage people to be entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship actually is solving problems. Now, the least of the problems you'll be solving is just to be a part of a department, a part of a system where you are only the safety, you are providing a support to a company, like not really support, but you are providing a staff function, right? Safety is a staff function. Staff function in the sense that we support other departments to do their work safely. That is the least of value creation. That is the least, actually. But to really be an entrepreneur, it means that you need to really solve the problem that the employer you're working for is solving. That is what you, as an entrepreneur, you probably be solving something similar. And even if it is an aspect of that employer's job, in a sense that you're providing a support, you understand it from the context of entrepreneurship, which means that you need to deliver value. You're not just filling a seat. There are instances where people become seat fillers. They just fill seats, and at the end of the month, they get paid. They just while away time, and end of month, they get paid. That is probably the behavior of an employee who doesn't understand the essence of value creation. But when you become a consultant, or you have a consulting firm and you are supporting a company, you are understanding the engagement on the basis of value creation. So I always talk about the value creation is very, very important. Okay. So basically, that is how you deliver more value to employers, and you are still, making the best out of your safety career, right? So the salary of a safety professional, it can actually range from as little as 800 to as much as 20,000 if you're working for a local company, or from probably 2,000 to as much as 10,000 or even more, depending on the position where you find yourself, whether you're a senior, you're a safety director or a safety manager or whatever. So there's so much opportunity in health and safety as a career. That's something we need to know. That's why I am still working as a safety professional. I'm not going to downplay the importance of job, because job is really, really important. But then again, I would highly recommend that you focus on the project-based jobs and understand that the way to navigate around when you're pursuing a project-based job is to make sure that you have a side hustle. There's no point getting a contract for 2 years, 3 years, and you tell me that all the money that you get from this contract, you didn't consider entrepreneurship. That is totally mind-boggling, and I'll never understand. That is the kind of entrepreneurial spirit that I have, that there's no way I'll even have to be out of job and I'll be like, there's no job, I can't do anything. It doesn't work like that for me. Okay, so let's move on to the next. So this is basically giving insight into the salary of a safety professional. It is a very rewarding career. Okay, so this is just basically the trend chart of how the salary trajectory has been for me, right? So from 2012, we spent 6 years before we had to go all the way up, right? So what does that mean to young professionals? If you are working, you need to understand that in periods when you're not happy with your job, you don't limit yourself and probably not even upgrade yourself. You need to keep going with your upgrading yourself, because sometimes the experience doesn't come fast. Experience comes with time, right? experience comes with time. Okay, so if experience comes with time, which one do you have control over? Okay, so if experience comes with time, which one do you have control over? That is one of my strategies that I always used when I was working for 3 years. I knew that 3 years I don't have any control over it. 3 years I just have to keep going. Every day I go to work every day. But then what I had control over was the fact that I could decide to learn and pass in the next maybe 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. That is something I can do very fast. So I can get this qualification very fast. Then I'll pursue the next one, get it very fast. I'll pursue the next one, get it very fast. I'll pursue the next one, get it very fast. Bag all of them and keep them ready. So when I get the next opportunity, I have a much better package to present to now renegotiate how much I'm worth. And that's a very good strategy. So I have a lot of colleagues who tell me they've gotten a new job and now the salary is much better because they had to complete NEBOSH qualification. I have one colleague who has finished NEBOSH, and after doing the NEBOSH, the next job that he got, the salary is much more better because now he's happy. He tells me the NEBOSH actually made an impact. Because I always tell you, focus on the global qualifications, right? So that's pretty much what the the whole trend it looks like. So it means that periods when there are no opportunities, don't relax at all. Keep going. It's very, very important. And then also take note that you need to use your current employment as a springboard. So understand the value of the experience that you are getting from your job. It's very, very important, and make the best out of it. Make sure that you are doing a lot to understand, and also be part of communities and all of that to understand safety from various contexts. I was in the oil and gas, but I was trying to understand safety from other industries because it was very, very important. And that was actually the essence of the community that we formed with the HSEQ professionals group. It was for us to share a lot of knowledge from different industries so that you are privy to it. And if you go for an interview, you don't have to be limited, because perhaps it's a very unique operations. So if you don't really understand the operations and understand the risk and the hazards involved and the controls that are relevant, they will not pick you. So sometimes you are very smart and aggressive learning other industries just by engaging with people, asking them what goes on in the aviation industry, what goes on in the, of course, construction. Probably everybody must have worked in a construction because that's quite easy to get. Oil and gas, mining, and all of that. We need to pay attention and connect with people who can tell us a lot more. Okay, so I'll just move on. So what are the factors that affect health and safety jobs in Ghana? That is very important. So this is something that if you are being very strategic with your life, you need to know the affect your career. And if you're not paying attention, you'll be taken by surprise. Okay, so some of the factors I've highlighted is the company priorities. Now, company may have a priority for safety, right? They are committed to safety. They have a high, safety culture, a very positive safety culture. And sometimes there's what we call the supply chain control. The supply chain control is able to drive compliance down the supply chain from the client. So all the SMEs, all the contractors who are working in a particular industry, once there's an operator that is highly committed to safety, you notice that all of them are compliant. So if you're being strategic, you want to look out for all these companies that are contractors to major clients and know that these people will definitely recruit safety professionals. So company priorities affect the health and safety job. Okay, we can also talk about regulation. This is something that we all know. The regulation is very important. A national system that is robust enough, with a system of inspection, with inspectors who go around to inspect the workplace and identify unsafe lapses, unsafe act conditions, and non-conformance and all of that, would be a very good opportunity for safety professionals to try, because employers will have to recruit safety professionals who will be managing the risk so that they will be able to avoid penalties and fines, enforcement notices, revocation of licenses, and all of that. So where we have a robust regulation, safety thrives. Okay, the next is economic conditions. Now, this is very, very important. That is the reason why a lot of people look beyond their countries. They're looking at other markets. They're looking at perhaps the UAE market, the UK market, the US market, and all of that, because they believe that these economies are good. But of course, that is an argument. I mean, within our country also, there are multinationals who are in there, foreign multinational companies are in here and all of that. But the fact is that the economic condition of a given country impact on the safety opportunities within that country. So where the exchange rate is very, very unstable, the country is in deficit, there's high inflation, all of this stuff, it stifles investment, private sector participation in the industry or in the economy. It reduces, and they're not going to expand. So it creates a lean market for health and safety. We can also talk about global events. So global events equally create, external shocks. During the pandemic, some people lost their jobs. When things are improving across the globe, it tends to drive economic growth in countries that are highly dependent. For example, when there's oil prices, when price of oil drop, people lost their jobs. Companies have to downsize. So if you're working in an industry that is highly volatile because of external, factors that can affect it from the global standpoint, you need to be very strategic and make good decisions. And then again, we can talk about the risk profile of a company and even you as an individual. What is your risk profile? Are you risk averse or you have risk affinity? A company that operates in a high risk environment will definitely need safety professionals. So you can always target high risk industries that has a lot of risk. There's compliance requirement that would mean that there's a lot of robust compliance requirement that they need to meet, and for that reason they would need safety professionals. Okay, by your own risk profile, are you someone who is ready to take risk? What would you want to go for? Project-based job, or would you want to go for permanent jobs, right? And sometimes the person who chooses to go for just permanent jobs is the one that doesn't want to take risk, and the one who go for project-based job is ready to take risk. And such people can move very fast and navigate through the challenges because they always have backup plans. Because project-based jobs gives you opportunity to quadruple your salaries, and for that reason, it is easy to just put in place a side hustle, and that can get you stay afloat as you go. Okay, so basically we are talking about the global event, the threats. There's threats and opportunities. So one thing we need to bear in mind that the health and safety job is a global profession. And when we have a global profession, every activity that happens or every event that happens globally can potentially affect the job prospects in a given country. The global nature of the industry means that the jobs that you are pursuing in Ghana, even an expert can grab that job. In a sense that the foreign multinational that's looking to operate in Ghana can decide to come along with their own set of employees, because the position is a global profession or global position. And that has happened to me before. I was working for a company, I was doing very well, but then there was an incident on it I have nothing to do with the incident, and for that reason I had to be reassigned to go and cover on the project because there has been an incident. So I was moved from the office. Okay, now they brought in an expert that you should come and cover the office, because now I've gone on the field. I'm a field-based employee now, and they brought in an expert to fill the office role. And then for some reason they said the expert should mentor me because I'm a local and I'm probably younger, and he's an older man. But what the expert did was that he ended up muscling me out. He muscled me out of the company. So my contract, when I was with the when I was on the field on that particular project, that project contract ended because that contract was about to end. But then back in the office, there is another contract with another operator, but I was not allowed to come back to my original position. I was pushed with the people whose contract has ended. Okay, and I ended up going home with the people. That gentleman, not really a gentleman, he's an old man. he took the job to his country and he was operating from his country in Ghana. So it means that the global profession, somebody can come and take it and go and operate it from a remote location based on an arrangement they can have because of some common interest. So that is pretty much the global event. The global profession is very, very volatile. So you need to always be careful, but it is important that you pursue the opportunities by going for the global qualification. Again, company priorities is very, very important, as I've earlier mentioned. The risk profile of the company is very, very important. You yourself, your risk profile. Why would you go for permanent when there's project that can change your life? And for that reason, you can be able to support in the knowledge market, in the goods market, and expand. Okay. Again, economic conditions, which I've earlier mentioned, and government regulation, national system, improving economic conditions, and things like that. So what is the status of the job market in Ghana? There are a lot of people who have joined the job market. I've seen it. I noticed that a lot of people have become safety professionals. Now, safety is becoming very attractive to the young people who come out of school. That is very, very good. We need more people to get into the market, right? But we need to equally understand that the economic conditions should be favorable so that these people can be absorbed. So there is always a challenge where there's less opportunity because the economy is not improving as we are expecting. So this phenomenon is likely to be there for a while. In fact, that is how it has always been. Every year on year, things become difficult. And for that reason, we need to always keep pushing and challenging ourselves to do more, right? So in recent time, what it means is that a lot of people tend to hold on to their jobs and they cannot even move up the ladder to create opportunity for those other people to join, right? So what about also the global market? The global market has a high demand for skilled professionals, depending on the economies that you're focusing on, right? In these economies, we can talk about the UAE, the UK, Europe, and America. I mean, somebody will say these are based on misconception or based on stereotype or whatever, right? That's an argument we can make, but there are better opportunities outside, right? The global market offers opportunity for migrant workers. Some countries actually recruit migrant workers. Trust me. Interestingly, when I got onto my project, I noticed that the country that I'm working in, they actually recruit in numbers from countries I didn't know. I never knew about it until I got in there. I noticed that, whoa, all these workers are coming from one particular country. They have a special arrangement with the country. They go in there and they recruit in numbers, mass recruitment. They recruit from Nigeria, they recruit from Egypt, Algeria, India, and others. And there are some roles that are reserved for people in specific countries. So there's opportunity to move across the globe based on some of these arrangements where they recruit workers from particular countries. If you're lucky, you could be among these people and all of that. There are a lot of agents that do recruit for some companies in other countries and all. So it is not easy to really get access to some of these jobs, but you just have to understand the importance of meeting those national requirements, because every country has a national requirement for safety. If you want to work in the UK, you probably want to do the NEBOSH and get CMIOSH and all of that. If you want to work in the US, you probably have to do OSHA, become a CSP, and all of that. If you want to work in probably any country, you need to make sure you pursue their requirements. But the good thing is that the global industries, the global professional bodies, these professional bodies have reciprocal agreement among each other. So if you are a CMIOSH here, you can just get some exemption to write one exams or two. You can become a CSP here. If you have CSP, you can become a CMIOSH and all of these stuff. You get it? So it's equally a strategic now that people tend to have all of these credentials, and that boosts their employability, right? So it's very, very good to pursue global qualifications. Some of us, we are on the journey of pursuing this global qualification, except that we have decided to focus on business for now, because we are trying to develop a system where we can finance, paying all of these subscriptions and things like that. So we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we are strapped for cash and we are paying subscription and all of that. So we are being very strategic, but these are things that we highly admire. Personally, I admire all of these, and in due time, we're going to pursue them, right? So how do you navigate as a professional? You need to pursue global qualifications, very, very important, or the national requirements of the destination countries. These national requirements are very, very important. If you're going to work in any country, you need to meet their national requirements. So you do your research. You don't have to do things wrongly. Don't copy blindly where you go and do any course at all. You didn't even do research to know how relevant it was in the country you're going to work. All right. So these are some of the examples of places where, some of these qualifications are very, very revered, highly revered. So you have to make a choice. All right. But I can tell you for a fact that in the UAE, they need NEBOSH. NEBOSH is, in fact, in the Gulf region. If you have NEBOSH, you have a lot of advantage. So how do you navigate? You are still on it. You need to get your foot in the door. If you don't start from somewhere, you never go anywhere. So you need to get started. In situations where your jobs are not good enough, right? You are not getting good salary, the condition is not good. You don't have to stay there. You need to keep going by upgrading yourself and upskilling yourself. Also, you need to pursue working for foreign multinational companies. That is a very good strategy. If you work for a foreign multinational company, you're able to get your foot in the door because these global giants can serve as a bridge in the sense that this company can take you outside to go and do a course. They can give you that international exposure, and they can even take you along to whichever destination they are going, especially if they are pursuing other projects within the same region. So if a company is operating in Ghana and is moving to another country like Gabon, they can say that, let's take you along. So you realize that you can easily become a global or a migrant worker or a global employee in a sense that working for a foreign multinational, it gives you the easy transition to quickly position yourself, because when you have a foreign multinational company on your CV, which is popularly known by other foreign multinational, it's easy to get another job, with a foreign multinational. Again, another thing I can tell you is that you need to use every job as a springboard. Understand that the experience you are getting in your job is very valuable. Don't limit yourself. Don't downplay the experience that you are getting. In periods when you are not getting the job, just keep learning and prepare. Okay. Another thing I can tell you is that you need to join communities. You need to join communities of like-minded professionals across the globe, within various groupings, locally and internationally. It creates a lot of value. You're able to put yourself out there as well. It is important. Another thing, put yourself out there. Don't limit yourself. Let people know what you're made up of. It's very, very important because you are highly skilled. We need to know. Don't hide it. Do you get it? The last one is that you need to understand. I can't see. Let me see. There's this. You need to understand the opportunities in the value chain. Exactly. You need to understand that jobs are not the only opportunities in the value chain. The jobs are anything that brings income is a job. So the fact that you're not able to work for an employer does not mean that you cannot become a consultant to work for that same employer. Employer will appreciate that you are coming from the context of value creation. You are an entrepreneur, so you're coming to deliver value, and you charge the person based on the job you are coming to do. A lot of employers don't want to pay monthly salary. They rather want someone to come, I give you the contract, you exit, you go back. That is equally job. So if you limit yourself that this is the only job I can do, I need someone to employ me and put me on salary, that we are in the era where these type of arrangements, they are the conventional things. They are very, very conventional. You're talking about the unconventional. The unconventional is the fact that you can create value in many ways. For example, there's a tuition provider who is building the competence to train. You are telling me you are unemployed. How about, meanwhile, you have NEBOSH, but you do not understand that you can even go and support the tuition provider, because the tuition provider is trying to be an entrepreneur. You can provide a support service, and that's his job. So if you don't understand value creation, then you limit yourself that I don't have a job because no employer has employed me. Meanwhile, you can easily provide a support to a tuition provider or any company that is in good business and understand their value chain. So it is important that we understand the health and safety value chain across the job market, the knowledge market, the goods market. Because if you don't understand, that's when you tend to limit yourself. Okay, so that's pretty much navigating the job market, regards all of these. Okay, so this brings this meeting to an end. This is a podcast that we are using to share our perspective about the industry. Okay, so I'm hoping that all of you, would engage with this content, because this content is probably well researched and we are trying our best to support. And it's not really about the fact that I'm trying to show off or anything, but it's just the fact that this is something I've been passionate about for a long time. In fact, since 2001. Hey, wait, since 2021, I was trying to do a podcast, and I was like, okay, podcasts, let's try and do some webinar series, all of that. But seriously, I think that the reason why I've called this one a podcast is because it is just me. And I'm going to share my perspective about health and safety in this forum, right? But when it comes to the vendor webinar series, those are very close within the community. So we can have a Zoom session for vendors to share more light on their product, because we have a growing community. We have about 470 people. There's no, reason not to have some form of engagement. So we are not trying to compete with anyone, but I believe that we need to engage with the people within the group, having a forum where they can share their feedback and communicate. Throw more light on their product and services from the business standpoint, because business is important for everyone. And we need to understand the synergy between the job market, the knowledge market, the goods market. This is something I've been saying every time, and I'm not probably stopping. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So today, we've taken a lot of the time, so I wouldn't really, waste your time too much. So I just want to thank everyone for showing up. I believe that you found this video very, very insightful. All right. So you find this video very, very insightful. So I'll just find out, those who have engaged with our content. Someone said, how can I get some agents? Okay. So in terms of working, let's say looking for whichever market you want to work in, there are some agents. All right. Sometimes there are some positions that they don't get agents for. The agents that we usually see are probably looking for some positions such as let's say security and things like that, right? So those ones is quite, it's not befitting to the caliber of person that some of us are, like, so how you are, the caliber of person that you are. You probably don't want to go stoop a bit low to those type of profession, unless really all is lost that you want to really switch totally, right? If you want to switch or you want to get your foot in the door, that's when you can probably take such steps, because some people really understand their value, they understand their worth, they go in for some position just to get their foot in the door, and then they can quickly switch. That is equally done. So usually when you are trying to work in another country, the requirements can be a bit strict, and really need to go in a humble way. That's all I can say. Okay, so thanks for engaging with our content, and trust me, this is something that I'm very passionate about. I have a 9-to-5 job. I have about 2 weeks more to go, and I'm just thinking that I wish I didn't have to go back to work. I probably want to be doing this every single day, and I'm already doing that for Shexel, but this is something I'm very passionate, and I want to be doing this every week, but it's all good. So there's going to be a bit of silence for probably 4 weeks, and once I'm back, I'll get right into it. Okay, so I'll have next week again to show up, and next week I might probably look at the knowledge market, because the knowledge market is very, very important. The knowledge market is a very good market. Trust me, that is where you can create value, even much more significant value. So a lot of people are making the impact, making impact with into other people's life. They are sharing knowledge, and we are sharing knowledge in forums, webinars. We are sharing knowledge on TV stations. We are sharing knowledge on radio stations. We are sharing knowledge on new media. So we are trying to be part of the new media, right? The new media is where we set up our own channel, and we are sharing knowledge. And when people are able to engage with what we are sharing, we are equally making an impact. So the knowledge market, I like the knowledge market. Health and safety template, all is management system, consultancy, all is the knowledge market. The goods market, trust me, it is a very huge market. If you go to our website, you notice that this market is so huge. I took my time and I did all the categorization, and I was blown away. And surprisingly, if you are to really improve safety to that point, every single category will be relevant because we need employers who focus on marine safety. So if I go to the website right now, right, I'll just show all the categories: personal protective equipment, fall protection equipment, fire safety, road safety, welding safety, radiation safety, office safety, marine safety, laboratory safety, industrial safety, emergency safety, confined space. Before you go to health, before you go to environment, that is a niche that has not been explored to the highest degree, trust me, because we are focused on the job market. A few have been able to move further to the knowledge market, but the goods market, trust me, sometimes I feel sad when I get all these quotes and nobody can deliver. No vendor is there. Nobody is interested. And I'm like, did I really create this problem for myself? Am I really trying to solve all of this problem? I just want to share that situation with all of you guys. So we have a community of safety professionals. This community is growing. The community is a movement. The community is not about I'm looking for a job. The community is about we are solving problem. And we are creating a system where if you become an entrepreneur, you have the audience to tap into, because you become an entrepreneur, you have PP, you have this, you have that, and you tell me, I don't know who can buy. So I'm just there and I cannot order, or because the last time I ordered, nobody bought. So I'm just, no. We create the demand. Safety professionals have the responsibility to drive the demand. When you challenge your employers to put in place the right system of work, the safe system of work, the right equipment, the right tools, the right technology, all of these, that means that they need to go back to those who are procuring, the vendors to procure from. So the value chain is highly integrated. There's true synergy when we are looking at all of this in bigger perspective, and that will help us to grow safety in Ghana. We are talking about national system. That is fantastic. Some of these national system, we cannot do it all. We can only do what we can do. Those who can do the national system, get the system in place, they can do that, but their responsibility lies with the minister in charge of human resource and labor relation, right? I don't understand why every time when a minister comes in that position, he doesn't understand the value of safety to ensure that all these things are done. So thank you all for engaging with our content. Yeah, thanks so much, Oko Prince Jr., for engaging with our content. You're doing an amazing job. Keep up the good work. And that's it, guys. So I'm going to see you guys again next week. Bye for now. I believe that you guys have enjoyed this show. Okay. So I'm going to see you guys again next week. Bye for now. Cheers.